Hello and welcome to the Engaging People podcast. My name's Charles Rogel. I'm one of the senior consultants here at DecisionWise. I'll be moderating today's topic. Joining me is Dan Deka.
Hello, Charles. And hello, everyone.
Thanks, Dan. Dan is one of our senior consultants here as well. Today's topic that we're going to address is about motivating others. And specifically, as we conduct employee engagement surveys with organizations, we ask a number of questions regarding the behaviors of supervisors and managers in the workplace that employees will respond to. And one of the questions, the one that more specifically we'll address today, simply asks, my supervisor creates a positive and energizing workplace. And typically this question is kind of the overall kind of engagement question we typically ask. Is the supervisor really creating an engaging environment as well? Part of that is really, is it motivating? Is it really providing or generating energy among the team members? And so that's the topic we want to start with. So Dan, I guess I'll pose this question to you and let you do most of the talking here. I'll kind of chime in, provide maybe some color commentary.
I'd appreciate it.
What first comes to mind, I guess, for you in terms of providing advice to managers on this topic?
I think one of the first things for people to think about is you don't have to do it alone. When we think about and say that, oh, I'm a manager and I'm supposed to create an engaging work environment for people, that can be intimidating sometimes because you feel like you got to have all the answers. And I would just tell people, you don't need to have all the answers, but feel free to ask questions to your employees. To ask them, what would make it more motivating? What would, in their one-on-ones or in the team meetings or how you recognize people, it's okay to ask for help. I just, as in my own management and leadership situations, there are times earlier in my career where I was given these responsibilities and I thought I had to figure out all myself. And like if you're preparing for a one-on-one, my earlier preparation was I need to have the answers for them. And now my preparation is I need to have the questions. What am I curious about?
Yeah.
And how can I ask them for their input? And so I don't know, that's probably one of the biggest things that I think about when a manager would get some type of report back and say, hey, this is an opportunity. How do you motivate others? It would be that base thought of you don't need to do it by yourself.
Okay. So give us some examples. So the managers are probably saying, okay, well, what questions do I ask? I have no idea where to even start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like one thing that comes up a lot, growth comes up a lot. And it's like, how do I help people grow? Yeah. And I think a lot of supervisors are thinking when they have those developmental conversations, they have to have all the answers. Oh, this is what I think you should do. Mm-hmm. This is the work. This is the path that you should move through the organization. And I don't think they need to have that. I think they need to have the conversation with the employee. Because a lot of times you'll ask somebody, hey, where do you want to be, in a couple years? And there's a small portion of people that can answer it, say, I want your job, or I want right. This, or I want to move to that. And that's relatively easy, but I don't think that happens very often. Yeah. Most people will say, I'm not really sure. And so instead of the manager thinking that they have to outline this path for their employee, I think they can ask questions. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite thing about your job? What would you like to learn? What do you love to do? Do you like to spend more time on the tasks or with the people? Mm-hmm. And exploring those questions with one of your directs or even a team. You can do that individually, but you can also do it with a team when you have a team meeting around how can we make this work more motivating, more engaging. You can ask the team and get them involved in it. So I as a base thought in our book, Engagement Magic, there's the premise in there that engagement is a 50-50 proposition where manager owns 50% of creating the environment where people can choose to engage, but employees, they have to make that decision to engage. So I think this thought goes well with that principle of what's your responsibility as a manager in creating a motivating workplace? It's create that environment, ask the questions, and help people move through that.
Okay. So find out kind of what makes them tick and motivates them, focus on those, tailor it to their needs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rather than thinking that you gotta have it all figured out yourself.
And so, what are some things, I guess, that you have seen create a more energy in people? Do you have any other examples or resources to share on that topic?
One thought around that is around creating energy. We actually have a really good Harvard Business Review article on that around, it's about the energy that you give off. You know, if you believe that the answer to some of the biggest problems or challenges or opportunities that your team has, if you believe that answer is in your people, they're going to be able to feel that. And they're going to be able to, if you have that idea, you're going to interact with them differently. Mm-hmm. And they're going to feel that energy. So if you believe that the answer to some of these most complex things, it's within the team. It's within these individuals. And you're asking questions because you're curious, how can I find the solution? How can you help me do that? They will feel that. They'll feel appreciated. They'll feel involved. You're asking for their opinion, and that's very engaging for people. I think everyone's walking around this planet. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. And when a manager has that orientation, you've got an answer, you've got something to contribute, and I'm curious about that. That is very positive energy that employees will feel, pick up of, and can be contagious across an organization and actually change the functioning of the team.
So let me provide a challenging example for you. I was doing a training a couple weeks ago, and one of the managers in the room said, well, I've got some employees who honestly don't really care or wouldn't even respond to that question. They're just kind of showing up to do their work and going home in the afternoon and or in the evening, and not really thinking about, how can I aspire to do more or be motivated or engaged. So is it possible, I guess, number one, should I recognize, or as a manager, should I recognize that not everyone's going to kind of be responsive to that approach? Not everyone really wants to be that motivated and maybe engaged in their work. Or should I kind of keep trying, or are there other ways to maybe reach those types of people?
Yeah, that's a great question. It brings up a lot of elements. My first thought goes to, in terms of engagement, if you're fully disengaged, if you have someone that's fully disengaged,
kind of checked out,
and they have checked out, but they haven't left the building, and they're still working for you, those people, you want to give everyone the chance and have the conversation. But a lot of times those people, it may just not be the right fit for them. And with those people, it's almost more to have a performance conversation with them and then help them find the next place that they can be engaged. But then when we move up on that engagement scale, we move to our opportunity group. These are the people that you've described. They're kind of putting in their time. They're kind of on the fence. I believe very strongly that everyone wants to be heard, seen, and make a contribution. And I think when we authentically invite them to share what they have and to contribute to whatever our goal is, the team, and tie into that meaning, that they will engage. And that's somewhat of an act of faith. You've got some employees, those fully engaged employees, they're asking us the questions.
Sure.
And then you've got, your key contributors, and they're very responsive to those type of questions. Hey, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? But then that opportunity group, it is more challenging. I think it's also an interesting mindset for a manager, and this gets challenging when you have a large team. But for those people in that opportunity group, you are going to have to spend some time and learn about them. It's a cookie cutter type of one size fits all is not going to work. It doesn't work for human beings.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for human beings that are in that opportunity group, kind of on the fence and need some help. You're going to have to spend the time to learn about them. You may have to ask that question a few times, because the first time you ask it, they may not believe you.
Right.
Hey, what do you think about this? Yeah, whatever. But you ask it to them again, and you show them, I really am interested in this, and you use their ideas, and I think you can bring them into that flow and that type of interaction.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think the transition, especially with new managers, is focusing not on getting things done and the mechanics necessarily of it, but helping your people, developing your people, helping them kind of engage in their work and getting more work done through others as opposed to your own efforts.
Yeah, that's a great point. I end up in a lot of coaching conversations that I have, end up asking people, hey, what is your purpose as a leader?
Yeah.
And the thing that rolls off of everyone's tongue is to get things done. And then we talk, and then sometimes I just either plant that seed or offer another option of, yeah, I understand it's to get things done, but it's through others.
Yeah.
And just that subtle mindset and change in a mental model of what's my purpose as a leader? It's to get things done. But it's to get things done through others. And then if you want to take it even a bigger step, it's to get things done through others and build their confidence and capability. Now, if you're a manager walking around like, I got to get stuff done, you're going to act in a certain way and you're going to achieve certain results. But if you're walking around going, my purpose is to build the confidence and capability of everybody that works for me, that's going to create a very motivating environment.
Yeah.
And that type of change in our mental models, in our thinking, and our purpose can drive a very different environment.
So you're not just a manager, you're a people manager.
Yeah,
It's
people
like the focus on the
manager.
people.
Yeah, and you just think, when you're thinking about your employees, are they a unit of production to get something done?
Yeah.
Or are they a future leader? Are they a potential leader? Are they my replacement? Are they the future of our organization? And if they are, everything that you could do to build their confidence, and a lot of times we even just go to their capability,
Yeah.
but building their confidence, if when they come to work and they feel confident and capable, they're going to feel much more motivated. And I'm speaking and it's sounding like all the soft side of the business, but there are a bunch of examples, a bunch of research that shows when people feel engaged, they feel confident and capable, their interactions with their customers, with their peers, their providers is very different, creates a much more fulfilling experience.
Yeah.
And I think there's a direct tie back to business productivity and business results.
Great. So anything else on motivating others that you'd like to share?
I think the other thought that I have, or a final thought, is when motivating others, I just think life's an inside-out process.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we go and we try to do a lot of work on motivating others, it's good to understand what motivates us.
Mm-hmm.
And what's my level of engagement. We have that engagement kind of self-assessment that we do, and a little tool. And I do that occasionally, and repeatedly, just to go, hey, what's my engagement level at? And just to be aware of that, because you have to be aware of where you're at personally and what motivates you, so you're in a place that you can help others.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's my other piece of advice, of just, you're not alone in motivating the environment. Just because you're the leader of the team or the leader of the organization or the CEO, you don't need to do it yourself. And then you can make some great strides by focusing on your inside, working on what's my level of engagement, what's my level of motivation, how am I feeling, and moving from that place.
Great. Well, thanks, Dan, for the great advice, and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.